In the original Super Mario Bros. Game, Mario can jump, run, and even swim. But he can never go back. Once he moves forward, that's it. There's no turning around. Enemies, blocks, power-ups, none of it even exists until Mario gets close. He's literally creating the present moment, one screen at a time. Of course, it didn't stay that way. As the world of Mario and his brother Luigi expanded, so did the gameplay. Future titles let you backtrack, explore, and even wander. But the original Super Mario Bros., it gave you one path forward. No rewinding, no rethinking. And in that limitation, something remarkable happened. It forced presence. And maybe, just maybe, this Italian plumber born in Japan offers a glimpse into Nintendo's own power of now. So stick around. We're following the trail from Kyoto to the Mushroom Kingdom to see what Mario's pixelated 8-bit world can teach us about living in our own. Mario's not just running through the Mushroom Kingdom, he's embodying a kind of pixelated mindfulness, a Zen-like existence where only the present matters. It's deceptively simple. There's no inventory to manage, no map to navigate, no free roaming quests. The player just deals with what's on screen. And that's what got me thinking. Could this 1985 smash hit be kind of an unintentional Zen practice? To help me explore that idea, I called my cousin Justin. He's a world religion scholar and someone who actually studies different Buddhist traditions. Nice retro watch, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I thought that worked well with our with our topic.
Circa 1982, probably.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
He and his brothers grew up as children of the Commodore 64 and later the IBM PC. I was a Nintendo and Apple II kid. And I think all of us had a curiosity about the others' machines and the universes that went along with them. On Justin's C64, we played the Great Gianna Sisters and California Games, and on my NES, Super Mario Brothers. Is Mario really a Buddhist? What do you think?
Wow, that's a great question. That's a great one to just ask.
I posted the concept online that Mario is a Buddhist, and someone wrote, "Not sure. Mario is sort of a psychopath, killing hundreds of Mushroom Kingdom residents who were transformed into Bowser's goons, physically abusive to Yoshi, and even punches him in the back of the head to make him eat things, willingly sacrifices his allies."
I'm invested now, so I'm gonna confabulate anything I can to make it work. No, I love that, but I think he's trying to save this princess, right? So it's not like he's just indiscriminately killing things, and I do think there's a tradition again in Japan with like the samurai studying Buddhism as part of their training, so they may not be adhering totally to all the Buddhist vows of like nonviolence and whatnot.
But in all seriousness, the deeper we looked, the more this idea held up, because when you strip the original game down to the basics, the movement, rhythm, repetition, it begins not to feel like a video game at all, but a sort of Zen-like practice. The original Super Mario Bros. Code is tiny, just 40 kilobytes of 6502 machine language, packed into one of the very first NES ROM cartridge designs. 40K? That's smaller than this tiny pixelated image of Mario in JPEG format. There are a few really great videos on YouTube that explain exactly how NES developers crammed 8 worlds of gameplay into a file that small, and I've linked to a couple in the comments, but even by the mid-1980s, 40K was starting to show its limitations. Super Mario would actually be one of the last major Nintendo titles to run without what was called a memory mapper chip. These mappers that were included in later games let the console access more memory and other enhancements. Basically, they extended the horsepower of the NES without changing the console itself. And so, future titles featured vertical scrolling, saved progress, bigger levels, and better graphics and sound. But the original Super Mario Bros., it's pretty austere. No mapper chip, no bank switching, just 40 kilobytes of simple linear progression. So, given some of these limitations, the game can really only handle what's on screen and maybe just a little bit more. Enemies and power-ups stay active for about a screen width ahead of Mario. So if you miss a mushroom, you might still catch it, but only if you're quick. Once it passes too far ahead, it's gone. Let's say you hit a block and you eject a power-up, and it goes off-screen to the right. Even if you catch up to it, it's gone. It's like there's an alternate dimension that you missed. You sent the power up forward, but if you're not fast enough to get it and it goes off screen.
Okay.
The world of Super Mario is built in front of you the moment before you experience it, and it's dismantled behind you even faster. Even the look of the game was shaped by scarcity. Clouds and bushes, they were the exact same arrangement of pixels, just different color palettes. Luigi, he's literally just Mario in green. This wasn't part of a design philosophy, it was the consequence of the technical constraints of the mid-1980s. But it had this strange side effect. It forced presence. You had to focus on what was right in front of you.
Buddha means awakened one. When he was born, it was, foretold that he would be either a king or a savior, and his father was intent on him being a king. So he felt like the way to accomplish that was to keep him from any experience of suffering that might turn him toward that more existential bent. But at some point, he wanted to get out of the palace, wanted to get out and see the world. On that journey out of the palace, it said that Buddha saw sickness for the first time, old age for the first time, and a dying person for the first time. So the story goes that he resolved to solve this problem of suffering. And then there is this belief that everybody contains Buddha nature and that you can awaken that right now in this very moment. So I think we can put Mario in that category. He's like a future Buddha.
Another core idea in Buddhism is impermanence. Buddha teaches that everything changes, nothing lasts, whether it's joy, pain, relationships, even who we think we are. And clinging to any of it, trying to hold on, is what leads to suffering.
The Buddhist path, it's like a boat. You need the boat to cross the river, but once you get to the other side of the river, you don't carry the boat around with you. You put it down.
Tibetan Buddhist monks express this through the practice of sand mandalas. They spend days, sometimes weeks, meticulously creating intricate geometric patterns out of colored sand, only to wipe them away the moment they're complete. The ritual isn't really about creating art, it's about letting it go. In its own way, Super Mario Bros. Teaches something similar.
Yeah, you play it and then it's time for dinner and you have to shut it off. Or you play it and you win and you have to shut it off. Or you play it terribly and you get 3 guys out immediately. The centeredness to be able to take part in all those iterations, I feel like that is really, that feels like a Buddhist practice to me.
As a result of realizing the impermanence of life in Buddhism, repetition becomes accepted as part of the path. And the way Super Mario Bros. Is designed, it practically forces that intention. Unlike future Mario games, you're not managing inventory, you're not planning 5 steps ahead, you're just here on this screen in this moment. You can't go back to the past and you can't see into the future. The only thing that matters is what's here, right now.
There's no end to practice or beginning of enlightenment, and there's no end of enlightenment and beginning of practice. It's like you're just constantly practicing.
According to Buddhist philosophy, suffering isn't caused by failure itself. It's caused by how we respond to it. Sometimes a mistake can spiral into shame, frustration, and even giving up. But think back to playing Super Mario Bros. For the first time. You fall in a pit or get hit by a piranha plant. You die. You start again. And after playing for a bit, that failure didn't sting so much. You started to see it not as punishment, but as an opportunity to try again. And that's not just a gaming mindset. In Buddhism, it's called rebirth. Each life is another chance to return, to practice, and to move closer to clarity. Every time Mario dies, he comes back at the same level, same start. It's sort of reincarnation on a short loop. So his repeated failures and restarts could be seen as sort of part of a karmic cycle.
But at the same time, does that mean that you've already been through 80,000 lives, and so this is your moment?
And like Buddhist reincarnation, the goal isn't some high score. It's understanding and improvement, and ultimately letting go of your expectations for a particular outcome.
I feel like Buddhism would not be allergic to this idea, especially for the reason you said, where it's like you have to cultivate this idea that it's the same whether you win or lose, or whether, the idea is to just be in it. And that's like life, right? Just to just be in it in the best possible way, not thinking about the outcome, except like, just the power
Practice.
the practice.
There's a timer on screen, but it doesn't actually measure real seconds, and a score at the top, but most of us never even looked at it. Following a generation of games from the late 1970s and early 1980s that focused exclusively on high scores, Super Mario Bros. Was probably the first game that quietly told us that's not the point anymore. It's easy to forget how unlikely all of this was. Mario started as a background character, an unnamed handyman thrown in to fight a giant ape. His backstory, it's honestly kind of ridiculous. He and his brother are called the Mario Brothers, so is Mario their last name or their first? None of it really makes any sense, and yet somehow these pixelated plumbers became Nintendo's centerpieces. Mario and Luigi were quickly as recognizable as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. They became the unlikely heart of an entire universe, characters in a shared ritual and a quest for perfection. Mario has sort of an army of people out there living all of the potential possibilities, right? So we're sort of the monkeys writing Shakespeare on the typewriter, the million monkeys on the typewriters writing Shakespeare. We've had 40 years of playing Super Mario Brothers. I think everybody who's contributed in some way to Mario's multiple lives. I mean, there are speedrunners out there who try to, what's the minimum number of time that you can play this game from the moment you press start to the moment that you save the princess in the final level?
Oh my God! Yes! I love this as a way of appreciating that idea of the multiverse, and your idea of the perfect game that you're describing makes me think of another facet of Buddhism, especially in Zen Buddhism, is you have to ask whether that perfect game is different if multiple people have it, right? In some sense, if we all do it in 90 seconds or whatever, right? It's the same. It's all one.
Mario didn't set out to teach us mindfulness, but somehow that's what happened. So how did all this quiet focus, this elegant simplicity, make it into a video game? Part of the answer may lie where Mario was born. Do you think it's meaningful that the game came out of Kyoto, a city known for its Zen temples and traditional arts? And is there a cultural residue that might even show up unintentionally in the game?
I mean, I don't have any way to, how do we substantiate that, right? But like, maybe there was some unconscious element.
Nintendo itself was born in Kyoto almost a century and a half ago, first as a maker of handmade playing cards, careful, intentional, and beautifully designed. From those cards to 8-bit pixels, the same philosophy of economy and elegance seems to have echoed through everything they've made. And behind Mario is a designer who grew up wandering the hills of Sonobe, just outside of Kyoto. When Shigeru Miyamoto was a child, he didn't have many toys. He made his own fun, exploring forests, shrines, and once a mysterious cave. He crawled inside and discovered chambers and passageways that seemed to go on forever. And that childhood cave would inspire how he thought about exploration and the games that he'd develop as an adult. But it wasn't just this game that felt different. When the Nintendo Entertainment System arrived on US shores in 1985, it did more than introduce a mustached plumber. It revived the North American game console industry. The mistake that Atari made was that they let anybody make a game for their system, and there was trash. I mean, they were literally filling landfills with E.T., the video game, for the Atari 2600 because they weren't selling. And Nintendo came along, and for better or worse, they created a model where you needed to license this stuff through Nintendo. They needed to approve of the games. Mario set the stage for this rebirth of the gaming industry, and Super Mario Bros. 1 was the premier game included with all of the systems. And it was like, okay, gaming is back. There's a standard that needs to be met. And that's what made Nintendo so powerful early on in the mid 80s with the rebirth of gaming. Modern games are different. They ask us to customize skill trees, check maps, watch timers, collect side quests, communicate with other players, and worry about optimizing ourselves. They can start to feel like multitasking, like real life. But Mario, he gives you 2 buttons and 1 direction. You don't collect gear, you don't plan 5 moves ahead. You just play fully, right now.
Especially in Zen, there's such a playful language around this. Clearly you're going somewhere. Clearly you're trying to achieve something, but yet it's supposed to be something that you already possess. And so there is nowhere to go and there's nothing to attain.
In a world that asks us to multitask, scroll, hustle, and optimize, this little old 8-bit game is still here quietly offering us a different path. But before you jump offline to meditate in the Mushroom Kingdom, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for joining me on this journey. I hope you'll find your way back here for the next Digital Voyage.